Hello and welcome back to Blue Geek Sports. This is episode number 6, taking a look back at the Monday and Tuesday action in the World Cup as the round of 16 concluded. A first game up on Monday was Brazil against Mexico. Turned out to be pretty straightforward in the end for Brazil. Mexico, I was a little bit disappointed with them. Thought they could have done a lot more in the game. But as it were, Brazil came out on top. Two really well worked goals from Neymar and Firmino to take them through to another quarter-final in the World Cup. They will play Belgium, who won through in one of the most dramatic games of the tournament. Probably one of the best, if I'm being actually honest. Japan, after a rather tense first half, Japan actually performed really well to hold off the Belgian threat. But things kicked into gear in the second half. Japan absolutely stunned Belgium by going 2-0 up pretty early on in the second half. And it was looking at that stage like there was no way back for the Belgians. And then Roberto Martinez made two substitutions that changed the entire complexion of the game. Marouane Fellaini of Manchester United and West Brom's Nacer Chadli both came on and had a great effect for the Belgians. It was another Premier League, but another English-based player, Jan Vertonghen of Tottenham, who got Belgium back into the game with a rather fortuitous header that looped over the Japanese keeper. Fellaini got the equaliser from a corner. And it was looking like the game was going to peter out into extra time, which, based on the overall play of the game, would have been rather fortuitous for the Belgians because they really weren't playing all that well up until they made those changes. But then the key moment, the dramatic moment, as it turned out, it was I think it was a Japanese corner, maybe. Or instead of playing it short and holding it down to kill off the last few seconds, they actually tried to attack, and the Belgians broke from that corner, and the result of which was Nacer Chadli had an easy tap in to win the game for Belgium in pretty much the last kick of the game. So Belgium, by the skin of the teeth, progressed through to play Brazil. I'll give a prediction for that at the end of the video. On to Tuesday night action. Probably the second most boring game of the last 16 after the Croatia-Denmark game. So Sweden beat Switzerland 1-0. As I said, not really a memorable game in my opinion. To tell you the truth, it was that unmemorable. I can't remember how Sweden scored. I think it was a header from a corner. I'm not too sure. Or there was a scramble in the box. I can't really remember for certain. But Sweden did have a VAR decision right at the end of the game. Player clean through on goal, brought down, initially given as a penalty, and the Swiss player was sent off. But VAR ruled that the foul came outside the area, so Sweden only got a free kick. They took it. It was a brilliant save from the Swiss keeper, and pretty much the final whistle blew from there. So Sweden are into the quarterfinals for the first time since 1958, I believe, or 1962. It was one of the two tournaments. And then the game I was most interested in, obviously, Colombia against England. England were by far the better team for the majority of the game. The tense first half, we took the lead through a Harry Kane penalty, given after some tangling in the area. Kane getting manhandled again for the fourth time in 5 games, and sorry, the third time in 4 games. Getting a bit ahead of myself. Bit of time spent before the kick was actually taken, because the Colombians just refused to line up. They were surrounding the referee. Colombia, despite what Diego Maradona claimed when he was interviewed about it, they weren't robbed in any sense of the word. Some of the antics from the Colombians was really disgraceful. I mean, in the first half alone, he could have been down to 10 men. Barros, I think his name is, actually headbutted Jordan Henderson twice. First in the chest and then just under the jaw. Henderson did do a little bit of showmanship, as it were. And, but had he not done that, it might not have been reviewed and a card might not have been issued. As it, in the end, the Colombian was booked. There was another couple of incidents with England players later on in the game. Harry Maguire went down off a set play, but got straight back up and motioned to the referee that it wasn't a foul in the first place. That was one of the things Maradona was complaining about. And Jesse Lingard also went down a bit later on. That wasn't given. That was a bit 50-50 whether he was actually clattered or not. Well, it was looking like ended up 1-0. And then Jordan Pickford pulls off an unbelievable save from a Colombian pot shot right in the, I think it was 92nd minute. It was heading for the top corner, if not the stanchion. Pickford just launched himself across the goal, pushed it away. Unfortunately, from the resulting corner, Yerry Mina again popped up with the equaliser for Colombia. His header going down to the ground and just over Kieran Trippier's head. That gave Colombia the ascendancy going into extra time. They actually had a couple of chances in the first half of extra time. England came back into the game in the second period, creating chances of their own. Danny Rose had probably the best of them, flashing a shot right across the goal. And came down to the dreaded penalty shootout, and the universal reaction across England and across the England fans in Moscow was, oh no, here we go again. Because England's penalty record in the tournament is atrocious. The only time in recent memory, and it's not a recent, that England have won a penalty shootout was against Spain at Euro '96, and we've never won a penalty shootout at a World Cup. So shootout happens. I think it was Falcao, Cuadrado, and I can't remember who took the third for Colombia. They all scored. Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford scored for England. John Henderson stepped up with England's third kick and saw his saved. Fourth kicker for Colombia stepped up with a chance to give Colombia match point. His kick crashed off the bar. Kieran Trippier levelled at 3 apiece. So it came down to the final 2 kicks. Carlos Bacca saw his kick fantastically saved by Pickford again. And then Eric Dyer, who was derided on social media when he come on, because many England fans believed his introduction to the pitch actually slowed England's tempo down. But he stepped up. It turns out later on that night that it was meant to be Jamie Vardy who was going to be England's 5th taker. But Vardy had actually picked up a knock in extra time, so couldn't take it. Dyer stepped up. It wasn't best penalty, but it had enough power on it to go in the bottom corner, and England won. England won a penalty shootout. Unbelievable. I've watched it back. I've watched it back that many times in the last 24 hours. I've watched reactions from fans in bars back here in the UK, reaction on the stands in the Spartak Stadium, reaction from the ITV pundits in ITV studio, and it still doesn't feel real. But England are through to the quarterfinals for the first time in the World Cup since 2006, and we will take on an old foe in Sweden. We've actually met them twice in World Cups past. In 2002, we drew 1 apiece in the opening group game, with Sol Campbell scoring the England goal, and then we met again in the final group game in 2006, drawing 2-2. Joe Cole and Steven Gerrard scoring that night. The last time we met them in a competitive game period was at Euro 2012 when England won 3-2. In fact, that's the only time in the last 10 meetings that we have beaten Sweden. So the omens aren't good for Saturday, but the confidence of what happened on Tuesday night and the belief and togetherness of the squad, I'm hoping and praying that England do come through. So I've sort of segued into my predictions there for the quarterfinals. That's England Sweden out of the way. As far as the other quarterfinals, they kick off tomorrow night with France against Uruguay. should be one of the best games of the quarterfinal. Potentially, Edison Cavani could be missing for Uruguay, which would be a massive blow to them. If that is the case, then I would fancy France to win that one, but it could just as easily go to extra time, maybe even penalties. Who knows? But in my opinion, I think France might just nick it. The second game tomorrow night is Brazil against Belgium. I think the Belgians have used up their luck for the tournament with that comeback against Japan. I think the sheer quality of Neymar, Coutinho, Firmino, and the like might just be one step too far for the Belgians. I can see Brazil winning that one, and the third quarter final, which takes place on Saturday evening. It's actually, even though it's the last game of the quarterfinals, it's down on odd shots as the third game, and that is the host Russia against Croatia. I think this one could be a close run thing. The Russians have performed brilliantly to get this far as hosts when they weren't fancied. Croatia have played some good stuff at times, particularly when they beat Argentina in the group stage. If I was a betting man, I would possibly just go with the hosts, perhaps going all the way to penalties, but don't write out Croatia. Winners of that one will play Sweden or England in the semi-finals. Unfortunately for me, I will miss the England game on Saturday. As it's a 3 o'clock kickoff, I'll be in the middle of my workday. As I don't finish work on a Saturday until 7 o'clock, so I will only rarely catch the second half of Russia-Croatia, or more of the game if it does go all the way like I said. So that is it. That is just my roundup of the final last 16 games, preview of the quarterfinals. On Monday's video will be a roundup of those quarterfinal ties and my thoughts on how the semi-finals will go. And then a week today will be rounding up the semi-finals and looking ahead to the final weekend of the tournament, the third place playoff, and the final itself. So look out for them two videos to come next week. Until then, like, share, subscribe, comment down below on what you think will happen in the last 8. This has been Blue Geek Sports on the Blue Geek Review channel. I've been the Blue Geek. Bye for now.